Carole. Excellent to see you again.
Thank you.
Now, you've brought a book in by a very famous author.
Yes, everyone's talking about it. Donna Tartt. She's quite an enigmatic sort of woman. Writes a book only about every 10 years and doesn't give many interviews at all. She's actually given more interviews for this new book, The Goldfinch, than she's given ever before. She's famous for The Secret History.
Yeah, I remember reading that and loving it. Not that I can remember it.
Yeah, a long time ago now. And then she did a second one called The Little Friend. And this is her latest one, The Goldfinch, and it's causing a lot of interest. It's the story of Theodore Decker, who it starts when he's 13. He's got into trouble at school, and he and his mother have to go up to the school for an interview, and they're early. So on the way to the school, they stop at the Met, the Metropolitan Art Museum in New York. He's living just with his mother, who's a lovely woman, and he adores her. His father has left, gone to live in Las Vegas, is an alcoholic and addicted to gambling and so on. So they're in the Met, killing time really, but looking at some of their favourite paintings, one of which is this very famous painting of the Goldfinch.
It is actually a famous painting, is it? A real one?
Yeah, it's a real one. Yeah. And of a beautiful little bird that is actually chained to its perch with a little tiny chain. His mother, he's looking at this painting. His mother goes off back to another room to look at some other paintings, and a bomb goes off in the Met. And it is just devastating. The writing is so compelling, I couldn't put it down. I started off thinking I'll just read the first couple of pages. Well, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I got to the end of the first section. You had to read the whole first section. She's a brilliant writer. Wow. This whole complete devastation in the Met. And he ends up extremely injured. There are dead bodies all around and collapse and chaos. And there's an elderly man lying beside him who dies in the ruins. But gives Theo a ring, which is important, and it turns out he's a collector of antiques and is quite a connoisseur of old things, art and antiques, and that's significant as well. Theo gets out finally and manages to stumble home, and the whole thing of wondering where his mother is, the tension. You stumble through the streets of New York with him as he goes home, and the tension you feel about wondering about his mother, but you know in your heart that his mother's being killed in the bomb blast. How he deals with that and what then happens. He's sent to a wealthy family of a school friend of his. His relationship with them becomes crucial through the whole novel. He ends up being collected by his father and spending an awful couple of years in Las Vegas, where he meets Boris. And Boris is this wicked boy, really, but he's wickedly lovely and into drugs, into all sorts of things, and becomes a lifelong friend, but also the whole thing moves on and gets involved into international art theft because, in fact, Theo has taken the Goldfinch with him. No, well, that's at the beginning. No, you know that really early on. He's taken the Goldfinch painting with him when he stumbles out of the Met. It's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. There was a point towards the end where they're in Amsterdam and guns got pulled, and I thought, oh no, we're getting into cops and robbers here, and I'm not sure I like that bit, but it's
actually
fascinating.
So relevant, isn't it? I mean, there's been a huge bomb this week in Beirut outside the Iranian embassy, and we look at those scenes and we go, oh, but we don't ever think about the lives broken, shattered, the stories halfway through, and so...
This is very real. You're in the middle of that bombing in the Met. It's extraordinary.
Yeah, so a really good Christmas read, I imagine.
Yes, and it's a big read. It will keep people going. And
it is a big read, isn't it? It looks... Is it as big as Eleanor Catton's?
Nearly. This is 770-something pages, and Eleanor's just over 800, so
they seem to be fashionable again now, these great big fat books.
Well, there's one theory that it's because of the instant everything we're living in, you know, Twitter and everything short and sharp and instant, that maybe we're returning to wanting to dwell in long, really involving novels.
Thanks for all of that about The Goldfinch.